My my love of things country, things homegrown, comes from my parents, both my parents. This is our story about what we're doing and why we're doing it. Our love for seniors and our love for living in a way that we can be comfortable. We really want to establish a way to age in place. We've seen far too many people who weren't able to do that, who wanted to do that but hadn't lived the lifestyle, didn't have a situation to where they could do it, and eventually they got too sick. And she's not getting sick. She just it's allergies.
Keep going.
My love of things country, things homegrown, comes from my parents, both my parents. My dad, just, we always had a garden, and I don't know if it was my mom or my dad more, but between the two of them, we always did it. And when I was like 11 or 12, right around there, they were finally able to rent a home that was actually out in the country, had an acre and a half, and we had several animals, different kinds of animals. We had geese, and we had obviously dogs. We had I don't know if we had chickens, but we had rabbits, had a horse, but always the garden. And my mom, even after we were married, almost every letter she was telling us about what she was growing in her garden.
What she grew in her garden.
Just a real love. And so mine's genetic. I got it through my genes.
Well, my dad was in construction, and so we moved every year to a year and a half. And in the 4th grade, we moved to a house that was on 5 acres, and we called it the farm. And it had sheep when we first got there, but those were sold, and it had a big hayloft that we could jump down, and it had a huge garden, and we did canning and all of that kind of stuff. Never, ever, ever lived in another one after that, but that experience was changing for me because I always wanted to go back to a farm at that point. So we spent years in the Air Force. I remember when we were in Mississippi and he was at tech school and we were very first newlyweds, we talked about the day when we could go have our own land. And we even looked up what homesteading was and where in the United States we could go claim land. But yeah. The Air Force...
I remember going out on the beach in Biloxi.
And drawing our house out.
We drew it out in the sand.
Yes.
What if it's still there?
It washed away like the sand.
A couple of hurricanes. Yeah, it's probably gone.
Anyway, with the Air Force and lots of children and school and life, we never got it. We never got to have that homestead. And we finally did in 2011. Yes, it was in 2011 that the opportunity came to us. Our son had land that wasn't being used, and we took it and made its soul come alive. It was in the desert, full of sagebrush, with low well water and many trials, but we were happy. We had a milk cow named Clara, a mommy goat and her 2 babies, over 60 chickens, 3 dogs, a 3,000 square foot garden, and a small orchard. We loved it. It lasted for about 2 years before the well went dry and the costs outweighed the benefits. And then we moved to Oregon, where another son was.
A few years ago, we had a chance to move to Portland, where one of our sons was living. We come to visit, fell in love with the Northwest.
The reason we moved is because we ran out of water on the farm that I was just talking about.
Yeah. The well went dry, and
a lot of other reasons.
it was like the final straw of things. It was time, and we worked as managers in an independent living community. until the 7x24 demands just took it all out of us.
2 years.
Yeah, couple years, and it drained us. And
we loved it. We loved the seniors, but you can only do that for so long.
And it was a live-in job. I mean, it's where we lived. That's why I say 7x24. We were there all the time. It was our home.
And we loved it. But when it came time to move, Portland was extremely expensive. And so our son said, well, look south. And so we came and started looking in the country. As we found this place, we went to look at it. And we walked the 1/4 mile down to the house. We had always been drawn to the country, and that inner ache had driven us back to the country roads. The barns and the streams and the trees, the houses and the animals, the open space crept back into our hearts, feeding that longing that had never gone away. There was land freshly mowed in all directions. There were forests encasing each mowed area, pine trees, an occasional apple tree, oak trees, and more trees. Everywhere you looked. There was even a tire swing in the front yard. Over to the side of the house was an old lean-to barn, and land and more land. As we walked down the path to the river, right on the property, the Santee Ann, we stared at it in disbelief. We walked around to the back of the house and found an old garden plot. We realized that we could have a garden here. Walked around the house and the property in different directions, each searching in disbelief of what we were seeing. We finally came back around the house, met each other, and voiced our disbelief. Can this really be real? We joined hands and started the walk back down to the car. As we started down, we felt a need to step over into the grass, and together we dropped onto our knees and offered a prayer of thanks and for intervention that we would be able to get this place. On our first night, we watched the does in the meadow. There was a mom and her 2 half-grown babies. They couldn't see us. The first week there, I watched through the window as my husband took his broad fork and dug it into the rich soil. We lived in the country again, and we could grow our own food and provide for ourselves.